Hello everyone, welcome. It's Juliet here, and today we are going to be making this very pretty earring which I made using supplies that came in the Lavender Lemonade collection from Eureka Crystal Beads. So unfortunately this collection is now out of stock. However, a lot of the items in the collection are still available on their website. I will put a link for that down below. Anyway, we will be making this, and if you don't have the collection, you probably have most of the supplies that I am going to be using, so you can make it in a different color if you wanted. Anyway, so it doesn't use too many materials. I mean, it is just an earring. Here I have some 2mm, 2x3mm Chinese crystal rondelles in this pretty silver color. It's kind of a dark silver. It's very pretty. I have two 4mm Crystal Bicones, and if you have the collection, those, I just pulled those out of our mix that we got that goes with the collection. So I pulled out these light purple ones. You could use green if you wanted to. It's kind of up to you. We're going to need 4 8/0 seed beads, and these again came in the collection. These are actually Preciosa seed beads, not... they're not Miyuki or Toho, but you could use either of those as well. Here I have 4 11/0 seed beads in the same color. Again, came in our collection. These are just right down here at the bottom of the earring, okay, as a little accent. You can just see the 4 8/0s on the side there. So it's just a little accent, and to kind of copy the green from up here down here, get a little splash of that green. Okay, we have here some 4mm pearls, and these are absolutely beautiful. I love them. Again, these came in the collection. These are the Krakovski crystal pearls in royal purple. Aren't those gorgeous? So you'll need 3 per earring, and 2 Superduos that match the pearls kind of. So these Superduos are called Metallic Suede Purple, okay? And again, those came in the collection. You'll need 2 per earring. Those are just at the very top and the bottom right here, and then we have like 2 pearls on the side and 1 right here. So they kind of, you want them to kind of match, so it looks like there's 4 of them around your earring, okay? You're going to need a small pile of 11/0s in another color here. I used them right here, and I also just used them on the back to kind of protect my, you don't need them on the back necessarily. I just put them in to help protect my stone a little bit better, so that's totally optional. And then you will need a bunch of 15/0s, and I'm using this Miyuki Galvanized Silver color that came in our collection. And last but not least, in fact probably most, you will need a 10x14 millimeter oval, crystal oval. This is so pretty. This is a Krakovski oval in the color Olivine. Isn't it gorgeous? And then I'm using today a size 10 beading needle. I'm using some nylon thread in a navy blue just because I feel like it goes, that was like the most neutral one I could find that goes with the green and the purple. And obviously you will also need a pair of scissors. If you are not using nylon thread, I would use a 4-pound wire line, okay? Do not use 6 because you're going to struggle getting through your 15/0s, okay? All right, let's get started. Okay, so to begin, you're going to go ahead, get about 3 feet of thread, and you're going to find yourself where you can leave yourself a 4-inch tail at the end, okay? You're going to pick up a rondelle, a 4mm pearl, a rondelle, and an 8/0. And then we're going to repeat that, but with a Superduo. So rondelle, Superduo, rondelle, 8/0. Then you're going to pick up the same as the first group again. So rondelle, pearl, rondelle, 8/0, and then we're going to repeat the second group. So Rondelle Superduo, Rondelle 8/0, okay? Do make sure that you've checked your holes on your Superduos before you begin as well. We're going to sew through all of these beads again to form a loop. So just sew from your 4-inch tail all the way through all of those beads. Okay, and when you meet up with your tail, if you need to, you can adjust the length by just kind of loosening and tightening a little bit. Okay, and then you're going to tie a knot between your working thread and your tail just to hold it in place. You don't have to do a full knot, even just a half hitch will be fine at this point, just to kind of hold everything solid in place, okay? We will be tying onto that again at the very end, so if you haven't done a full knot, you don't need to worry, okay? All right, so here I am coming out right next to a rondelle and an 8/0 seed bead. You know what, I'm gonna tie one more knot just because I need that thread to move to the back. Sometimes it's more about where the thread is. Okay. So just keep your tail so you can tie onto it at the end, all right? So you're coming out between a rondelle and an 8/0 right here. You're going to sew forward through the 8/0. And we're going to pick up 9 of our 15 O's. So pick up 9 15 O's coming out from the 8/0. I'm going to sew straight over into the next 8/0 right here. Okay. And you'll have a kind of funny looking bridge going across like this, okay? We're going to again pick up 9. We're going to go into this one, another 9 into this one, and another 9 into this one. So just keep picking up 9 and going into the next 8/0. Okay, so when you've picked up your last group, you'll sew through that final 8/0 and you will have something that looks kind of like this, okay? Oops, sorry. Go ahead and move up through the first few all the way until you exit from one just before the last one. So you want to move through the first 8, okay? And you're going to exit just before the last one, okay? You're going to pick up 2 11 O's. You're going to skip that very first 15/0 and you're going to go through the middle 7 on this group. So you're not going to enter into the very last 15/0. So I'm only going through the middle 7. I'm skipping the first and the last, okay? So I now have this right here, okay? And you're going to do that all the way around, adding 2 and going through the middle 7. So pick up 2. Again, I'm skipping the first and the last 15/0, okay? And here at the end, again, you'll just skip that first one, and then you will sew forward through 7. You can go ahead and sew through the two 11s that you did at the beginning as well, okay? And pull all of that. Okay, now at this point you're going to want to put your stone in place and kind of hold it in, and the Superduos should be the top and the bottom. Okay, so just place it in there. That pull. Okay, so it's not held in, but it is kind of like in place. Okay, so now we're going to pick up 6 of our 15 O's. Okay, so that is 6. We're going to sew from, exiting from these 8 O's right here, sorry, these 11 O's right here. We're going to go through the next 2 11 O's, okay? And it's going to put a little second ring here, and this is what's going to hold in our stone for us, okay? Again, we're going to pick up 6. And again, you're going to just sew straight through those 2 11 O's at the corner. And make sure that your new line does go on the inside of your old line of beads. Okay, there we go. Gonna repeat again, 6 more and then 6 more. Okay, so your stone should now not feel like it's going to fall out. It should feel held in place, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to sew all the way around the inner ring again, going through the 11s at the corners. So just reinforce that inner ring by sewing through it all again, okay? Okay, so I reinforced my inner ring and I'm coming out just from that first corner. You want to exit from the 11 O's at that corner, okay? And now we're going to reinforce our outside ring. So go ahead and sew through all of the ones on the side. But at the top, we're going to do something. We're going to take a little extra step. So then go ahead and go through the 2 11 O's. You're going to pass up through the first 4. So you want to exit from the middle bead. Okay, so I'm coming out through 4 and there is 3 left on the other side, okay? You're going to pick up 3 15 O's. You're going to sew into the Superduo like this. Okay, so I've put a little line of 15 O's right here. Pick up 3 again and sew only through that middle bead right there and pull. And you want to kind of pull this downwards a little bit towards the middle, okay? You're going to go ahead and continue on through the next 3 beads. Okay, so it should look like this at the top. Go ahead, reinforce the outside side here. So just pass through the 2 11 O's, the 7 15 O's, So we're not going into those lower down ones. Those two down there, we're not going into those at all. Go through the next two 11 O's. And go through the first 4 at the other end. You're going to again pick up 3 beads. Go ahead and sew through the Superduo and pick up 3 more. And you can go ahead and sew through that middle bead plus the next 3 beads, leading down to the 11 O. Okay. So we now have the same at both ends. Okay, go ahead, pass through the 2 11 O's at the corner and go ahead and pass forward through those outside beads again, okay? Then step down through that single 15-0. So forward through the 8-0. So up into the 15-0. And sew forward to exit from the 4th bead. Go ahead and go through the 3 beads at the top of the Superduo and through the top of the Superduo as well. And here is where we are going to add a little hook, a little space to attach an earring or a jump ring onto. So you can see here there's a little gap right there, okay? So go ahead and pick up 5 15-0s. And sew again through the Superduo to make a loop going over it like this. Sew forward through the 3 beads at the side and then enter again into the 3 beads on the other side. Okay. So we're just skipping that middle bead altogether. Okay. We're going to sew up the first 2 beads right here. Well, actually, if you want it to be curved, you can just sew through all of them, which mine actually is curved, so I'm just going to sew through all 5 at the top, but if you want to make it a point, you can skip the middle one, okay? But I'm going to sew through all 5 of those top beads and then through the 3 on this side again. And then make your way through the rest of the 15-0s and then go down into the 15-0 right here. Go through the 8-0, through the rondelle, and exit from the pearl. So through 8-0, rondelle, and pearl. We're going to pick up 5 of our 15-0s. You're going to pick up 1 of your 4mm Crystal Bicones and 5 more and 5 more 15-0s. So 5 bicone and 5. We're going to sew through the Superduo right here, okay? The outer hole on that Superduo, the outside hole. You're going to sew back through these 3 right here and forward through these 3 right here. That's going to pull that just like what we did down here, okay? So again through the Superduo. We're going to repeat this bit right here. So we're going to pick up 5 and then a crystal bicone and then 5. Okay, so 5, bicone 5, you're going to sew straight up into the pearl, the rondelle, and the 8-0. Okay, so pearl, rondelle, 8-0. And pull. So it should now look like this. We need to turn around. So we're going to go up through that 15-0. We're going to go through the 2 11-0s on the top. We're going to go down the 15-0 right here. And we're going to go through the rondelle and the pearl. So rondelle, pearl, okay? So we've now effectively turned around. We're going to pass through all 5 15-0s, the bicone, and 2 15-0s right down here. Okay, so there should be 3 more that we're not entering into. So we're going down these 5 and these 2, okay? We're going to pick up 1 15-0, 1 crystal rondelle, 1 pearl, 1 crystal rondelle, and 1 more 15-0. Okay, so 15, rondelle, pearl, rondelle, and 15. And we're going to look on this side, and there's 5 right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to skip those first 3, and you're going to go through the last 2 and your bicone. And you can continue up through the rest of the beads as well. Okay, so that has added this at the bottom. We're going to continue up through these 5 beads, through our pearl and our crystal bicone, crystal rondelle, and then we're going to turn around again by going up here, through here, and down, okay? So let me get through these 15-0s here. Okay, so I'm exiting just from my bicone just before my 8-0. I'm going up through that 15-0. I'm going through the 11-0, and then I'm going down through that 15-0. And I'm going through the 8-0, the rondelle, the pearl, and if you can make it through your 15-0s as well, go ahead and do that, because it does make it easier to go straight from the pearl I'm going through this one, this one, this one, and all of those. Continue through the next few beads, and we're going to come down until we exit from this rondelle right here. So you're going to need to go through those 3 15-ohs. So you're going through the bicone, 3 15-ohs, and then exiting from the rondelle. You're going to pick up 2 of your green 11-ohs, 1 crystal rondelle. I picked up 1 purple 11-oh and 1 15-oh. I'm going to push all of that down. Then you're going to skip the 15-oh and you're going to sew up through the purple bead and the crystal rondelle. And to get it nice and tight, if you just grab onto your rondelle and give it a pull, all of that will tighten up at the bottom, okay? You're going to pick up 2 more of your green 11-oh seed beads, and you're going to sew through these beads on this side right here. So I'm going through the crystal rondelle, my 3 15s, and my bicone. Give that a pull. And you may need to kind of balance your little fringy area here, okay? And then you can continue on up again through all of those beads. Okay, so all of our beads are now on, but you may want to reinforce. I did quite a lot of reinforcing on this one of these loops, for example, at the bottom here, I did reinforcing. You might need to reinforce your little top hanging area. So go ahead, reinforce anything. And then what I did on the back of mine was I actually did add some beads. This is optional. This is not falling out at all. So if you don't want to do that, you don't have to, but I just wanted to protect this little ridge right here from getting bashed around too much. So I will show you how I did that. So exiting from between the 8-oh and the crystal rondelle before the pearl is where you need to be exiting, okay? You're going to pick up 9 Okay, so pick up 9 of your 11-oh beads. You're going to go through the 8-oh at the bottom there. And I went ahead and just continued through the crystal rondelle as well, if I can get through it. I made it, okay. So you're coming out here and I'm going in to the 8-oh, the crystal rondelle at the top here. I continued through the Superduo, the next rondelle, and the next 8-oh. Okay, so I made it over to the 8-oh. I'm going to pick up 3 11-ohs. I'm going to sew through the middle 3, so skip 3 and then sew through the middle 3 on this side here. Okay, so there's 3 here, then I'm sewing through 3, and then there's 3 more at the top. Give that a pull. my tail wants to get involved here. And then you're going to pick up 3 more, and you're going to enter into this 8-0 at the top up here. Okay, so again, you may want to reinforce this. It's kind of up to you. I mean, it's just the back, so you know, it's just there to kind of help protect that stone a little bit. But anyway, finish any reinforcing you want to do. Make your way back to your tail, tie the 2 together, and then sew them in. And then we will be finished with our earring, okay? So I'll leave you to do that, and I will come back in a minute and show you the finished earrings. Hello, I am back, and I finished my earrings, and I decided to use these really pretty earring tops. They are succulent earring tops, and I think they kind of set off the design really nicely. And these are available, or they will be shortly, coming in to Eureka Crystal Beads. So I will put a link down below if you are interested in getting those. They're so pretty. They kind of almost look like flowers. They're supposed to be succulents, but you know, it could be a flower, whatever. So, so anyway, that is what those are if you're interested. And I hope you enjoy these earrings. They are really quick to make and they look stunning, you know, so do give them a go if you have, you know, the right materials. And I will see you guys very soon for another video. Take care for now. Bye.